Heroic announced their new lineup, but with one slight twist that none of us were really expecting and still honestly haven't quite found an explanation for. There's a big difference between what was rumored and what has actually come to pass, and that's that tN1R is currently playing on the roster and Nilo, Master Heroic player, is on the bench. Now, I can't provide you with any real explanation as to what's going on, but what I can do is talk about the new player, what I think of him, and how he plays. Now, for those of you who don't watch a lot of 9 AM Counter-Strike, you won't have watched a lot of Gun 5, so tN1R is probably a very new name for you, and probably one you've never really had the opportunity to really watch. Let's begin with the obvious. tN1R has insane stats for 2024. The rating of 1.15, which jumps up to a 1.20 if you just filter for his time on Gun 5, which has been, honestly, his most productive period as a player ever. He's been on 4s, he's been all over the place in terms of the tier 2s of CIS, Russian-speaking world. This has been his best team, and I think it's just because he's had the full freedom to do exactly what he wants to do and play the way he feels. The HLTV profiling statistics sure paint an interesting picture. He's a player who's going to be trading, clutching, not so much focus on the openings and the entrying and all this sort of ultra-aggressive, on-meta star rifle sort of expectation that we have. He doesn't do a lot of that. He's more focused on making the most of his teammate space and then closing rounds out, securing Ws, rather than just opening things up, ripping teams apart, as we've come to expect with a lot of young guys who are making a splash. Of course, he also has a firepower rating of 94, a 20% multi-kill rate. All this stuff is quite elite, quite impressive, but none of this really paints the full picture. It's very useful. These stats are super cool. I love them. But there's more to the detail. So I'll be jumping into a couple demos, showing you exactly what I found and explaining exactly what I think this guy does well, but also what he does a little differently to Nilo. It's not that much, I'm going to be honest. These are two very similar styles and brands of play, but the minutiae might catch you off a little bit. But first, I've got a quick question for you. Are you tired of looking like a chump in game? Sick of opening cases and getting trash skins? Check out Skin Club via my link in the description for a 7% deposit bonus. For gamers 18 or older, Skin Club is a case opening service who run a provably fair opening algorithm to give you truly random outcomes. Skin Club's Battles mode has been upgraded, adding new things like Crazy, Team, and Share modes, just to make every roll a little more intense and a little more fun. I played a battle or two and managed to win some pretty crazy skins, and upgraded a group of them into a gorgeous MP9 Hot Rod. Perfect for some gold stickers. There is an awards event going on right now, so you can earn event points just by playing on the site. These points can be redeemed for cases, skins, and entries into huge giveaways. Skin Club accept a wide variety of payment methods, from cards and PayPal to skins themselves, as well as a range of crypto coins. Remember to play responsibly using the self-care tools provided, and use my link in the description to get a 7% bonus. A big thank you to Skin Club for supporting my channel. Now we begin on the T side, and yes, true to the stats, true to form, he's not going to be an overly aggressive early round player. There's two things we typically see from him, and the first is the most obvious. He's going to be slow, passive, holding space, and not overly bothered by what's going on in the rest of the map, where players like Stime, Ziello are typically the ones fighting for map control, taking opening space. tN1R is going to look around the extremities, sit passively, waiting, maybe even try to find a little ratty play to make, potentially find a lurking CT who's pushed way too far. That's what tN1R is responsible for. It's not about winning rounds early, it's more about initially not losing them, and then later finding a way to be an extra devious little ratty boy, sneaking in behind and taking a few unexpected kills off the board. Now, on other times, he will be actually a part of these sort of early opening aggressions. They're usually not main map control fights. Anubis is a great example where a couple of times you'll see him just trading Cielo into the A main fight. Not something you typically do every round for map control, but something they like to throw in to get him involved early and try to make the most of Cielo's ultra-aggressive timing. That's a pretty common theme in his play, is if he's involved early, he will be trading. He's really good at judging the timing and the spacing of playing over the shoulder, plus he hits his shot with great consistency, so it just makes sense to help set him up like this. This was also a very important part of Nilo's play, and something he will definitely be able to translate over into this heroic roster if that's what they had in mind for his positions. Play the way Nilo does? Yeah, he pretty much does. Now, he is pretty strong in the post plants and the clutches. Now, typically, he does make his most important plays, most impactful plays in my eyes, just before the bomb goes down. But even in the post plants, he is smart, doesn't overextend, doesn't overplay anything, very controlled and composed, and just gets the kills he needs to, makes the plays he has to, and helps convert rounds. Now, CT side is interesting. If you look up his positional stats, what he's supposed to be playing, it's a bit mixed with a couple anchor roles thrown in, and then primarily rotating. Now, the rotating sort of roles he has are, well, they're the most aggressive you'll ever see him play. See a map like Mirage, where he's listed sometimes as an A anchor, and I've seen him play short, I've seen him push mid, I've seen him push underpass, I've seen him do a lot of things. I've rarely seen him actually do a lot of A anchoring. He's generally very dynamic, goes for a lot of different ideas, very aggressive ideas almost all the time, just pushing things, going for very decisive and assertive rotations. We don't find ourselves talking so much about his slow, very safe, sometimes ratty play. Instead, it's much more confrontational. He knows he's better, he knows he has advantages, he knows he has timings, and he's going to try and make the most of them. And this is not to say that he can't anchor. For example, on Ancient, you do have a very strong B anchor here. He's very able to sit in the bomb site, make the most of his teammates' contact. He's rarely playing solo anchor spots again. Just make the most of his skill set, his abilities. You're going to make someone else take the initial contact so that he can figure out his timings and his spacing to get another multi-kill, another round-winning pair of frags. Now, I do prefer him as a rotator, as a player who's going to fight for early map control, just because it opens up certain options, certain possibilities. It can flip the script, allow him to play more like the way he likes to on T side. Those deep pushes often do translate into those rattier plays, those late round surprise frags that the other side just get left discombobulated by. I think that's where he has the majority of his impact, is when he's really catching teams off guard, and from anchor spots, it's a little harder. Now, mechanically, he really does a lot of things super well. Spray control, incredibly tight. Like, he's not going to fuck it up very often. He can even spray very tightly at range. See, on Anubis, he will prefer an M4A1, whereas on Ancient, you might see him with an M4A4, because he's aware of the fact that he's going to have some longer range spray duels, being a player who plays more towards canals a lot of the time. So you'll see, no matter the weapon, the spray's tight, the kills are there. He's a very mechanically precise player. On the topic of precision, accuracy, his pistol play, phenomenal. I wasn't expecting so much of it, but his CT rating on pistol was like a 1.58. Then you watch, you get why. It's crosshair placement, sublime. That allows his pistols to really shine. And then there's Deagle is like a hidden threat. You don't really expect it coming. Coming into it, I thought, you know, slower players, more passive players, you know, probably just good at converting the kills they get, but just smarter, more positional. No, he's also incredibly combative and able to win fights on his first bullet accuracy alone. Deagle's a great example of that. He's overall just a really nuts fragger. No matter the gun in his hands, I give him a chance. You'll see him on CT side sometimes pick up a second AWP, and sure, he's no Kenny S, and he does one of those things where he picks it up as almost like a confidence play. He's just going for stuff at that point. He's still able to get kills, and that's a very impactful little facet, little aspect you can add to your play. If you're on CT side and all of a sudden your short player you're playing against has switched from a rifle to an AWP, and there's still another AWP challenging you somewhere else on the map, you're going to face some difficulties. Now, I was quite excited to see Nilo come and play here. He's been up and coming for a while. He's been stuck on teams in Sweden, though, and that for me has been rather annoying. I'm just exasperated with the Swedish scene, constantly producing talent. Honestly, if you look through the list of players, riflers especially, they have right now, there are so many high-quality individuals, and so few actually explode out of their scene. Susp is one of the few recently to have actually left Sweden and go on and play in international teams, and well, he showed us how good he is. Adam B, his brother, some people would argue is better. Nilo, also, a lot of people would argue, is even better than Susp, better than Adam B, although that's a raging debate in the Swedish scene. It's a shame we don't get to see him, at least not yet, playing in Heroic. Thankfully, tN1R fulfills a lot of the same roles, but also that same satisfaction you get from watching Nilo play. You know, the star lurker that seems to be kind of dead right now in CS. You don't see too much of it. It's a lot of star aggro play. Not so much lurking, closing, no traders really in the same sense. This guy's one of them, and he's a lot of fun to watch. So keep an eye out. I'm not sure how long he's going to be here, but he is on the main roster. He'll be playing Blast Mounty, and he's actually a beast. Right, if you enjoyed, leave a like, leave a comment, tell me your thoughts on tN1R. Sub for more. Remember that members get access to bonus content, early content, the right to vote, a bunch of other stuff probably. We got stuff coming for the high tier members, the £9 a month tier. I will be doing discussions with you lot in the coming weeks, just trying to figure out if I can get more guests involved. I want there to be more value than just chatting to me, you know? But yeah, that's all for this one. Goodbye.